What's going on, guys? Welcome to Boosted Motorsports. So I wasn't going to film this, and I actually didn't film most of it because I need you guys to help your boy out. You guys got to start sharing these videos, liking them and whatnot, because this is a ton of work to only sometimes get 1,000, 2,000 views. And right now I'm starting to be a little bit selective on what I do and don't do because I don't want to lose the passion that I have for this. And sometimes doing all that work, filming, editing, you know, making a thumbnail, posting, it becomes quite a bit. So anyways, I'll show you guys what I'm working on, but you guys have to support your boy a little more. Like I said, share these videos wherever you think people will like them. So this thing is supposed to be at LS Fest in about 2 weeks. It is almost the end of April, and I have to be at LS Fest in Texas. We're in Florida. I think it's May 16th, something like that. It's a 2-day event. So what I've been doing is this thing was overheating last time we brought it to Sebring, and I frankly was just over it. I was like, if I can't stay out for 30 minutes, I want to be able to beat the hell out of this car and it to stay cool. With us being here in Florida, it gets insanely hot, the humidity, so cars have trouble staying cool. So I went absolutely overkill on the cooling system on this C5 Z06 Corvette. So I'll show you guys what I did. Huge shout out to my buddy Bruce, because he gave me a lot of pointers and a lot of help and whatnot on this, so to get this. So I kind of mirrored his similar setup. So now, originally what we had was I had one single oil cooler, which is actually this one here. I had this oil cooler mounted right here. I had the standard C5 radiator, which was rearward facing, and it leans back. And part of the problem is these cars are called a bottom feeder, so the air comes from the bottom and has to go up through. With the radiator back, it's a very weird airflow, so the air has to come through and then try to go over the radiator leaning back. So what this is actually a C7 setup. So it's a factory C7 fan. It's got a way bigger, higher CFM fan on it now, and I have a C7 Duets radiator. So I was just overkill. This radiator alone I think is $1,200 or $1,400 that I had to buy. But like I said, if I'm gonna spend $400 is what it is for a track day, you guys. It's crazy expensive. So to go to Sebring for 1 day is $400. That doesn't include your tires, your brakes, your fuel, you know, if you break anything. Also, if you have an incidental on the track like my buddy Bruce did, I think they send them a bill for $500 or $1,000. If you wreck something on the track, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for the tow bill for your car off the track, oil spill cleanup on the track. Like, it's a whole thing. So it's an expensive day. So I want to make sure that I can go out there, beat the hell out of this thing, and that we don't have to deal with overheating. Sure, we're going to run into issues here and there, but I wanted to put this overheating issue to rest. So not only that, but we've got our original oil cooler mounted here. Not only that, but I have a second huge oil cooler. So we've got two massive oil coolers on this thing. Like I said, it's overkill, at least the oil coolers are, but eventually we're gonna end up putting a bigger, badder engine in this thing. So I figured, why not? And then this is, Bruce gave me his old intake. I might either clean this up or at least make another one, but this was his intake. He wasn't gonna use it anymore because he completely changed his setup. So what I'm doing right now is getting our coolant hoses situated. So this one here, I've got that one, and I grabbed the camera because, like I said, I wasn't gonna film it because I was just enjoying the process. I had music playing. I'm actually listening to Supercross right now because it's Saturday. I'm working on my Saturday, but I got this one tool and I couldn't help myself, and I really had to just grab the camera. So I'm gonna show you that tool. And then the other thing too is I made this whole bottom cradle support. I tried to get a company to make it for me, and they butchered it. So everything was crooked, nothing was square, things were off on either end, so I ended up re-welding it. It's made out of aluminum. I grabbed my cheap little welder and just went to town on it, just redid the whole thing, and now it's finally where I need everything. So it's a pretty cool little setup though. So this mounts the frame, and then this is also gonna hold my chassis mounted splitter, which is over there. And yeah, originally we had the 9 Lives stands for it, but we're just gonna be mounting it straight to the bottom of this, so it'll be a simpler setup. But getting back to the tool that I got, check out this little thing. It was so cheap, but I was so giddy about this tiny little thing. So you crank it like this. Oh, it's not supposed to come off. You're supposed to tighten this down, but I just kind of been winging it. So this goes on here, you crank it, and then check this out. So what you can do is, I've been cutting different pipes to length. So this one, I bought a generic pipe, but it was a little bit longer, so I cut it so that it's got the perfect amount of bite or depth on my hoses here. So you obviously don't want a 100% solid line, but I had to come off here 90 off of our thermostat housing, and then I put this hard pipe in here, and it was excessively long, so I cut a bunch off, and then I'm using other pieces. So here I'm gonna do another 90. Actually, this 90 is gonna go there, and then that's gonna be right there. And then the other thing I have to put in place is this. So this is gonna be our temperature sensor for our PWM controlled fan. If you guys do or don't know what PWM, pulse width modulated fan. So this fan doesn't have just like an on and off or like a high low. It can go from pretty much 0% to 100%, all variable, depending on how much you command. And in order to do that, I've got a standalone controller that, again, my buddy Bruce, I'm getting all of Bruce's leftovers, but he gave me the PWM fan controller, and that's gonna work off of this. So this is gonna be our coolant temperature sensor. It's gonna sense what temperature we have, and then the fan's gonna kick on. So this I'm gonna put in right about here. I'm gonna cut this back, but that is a bead roller. So it makes these bead rolls right here on the end. So I actually made this one here. Check that out. That's what came out of that. So I wanna show you guys the process. So right here, see this here? I'm gonna clean up this edge, and then we'll bead roll this, and then we can put our pipe on the end of it. I'm also gonna be cutting this because this is excessively long, so I'll probably cut this here, cut that there with the chop saw, clean up the edge, and then we'll put in the bead roller. So let me show you guys. What we're gonna do is put this in here. I'm still learning this tool, but it's pretty nifty. You tighten it down, it's almost like using a pipe cutter. So you kind of put a little bit of pressure. You have to keep inward pressure. It's the only kind of annoying part of it is it seems like it wants to walk a little bit, at least the last one did. So look, you kind of go like this. So here we go. We're running the bead, running the bead. There she is. Add a little bit more pressure. I'm not taking this off because that was a pain in the butt getting that thing on there. If you're wondering why this hose is still on here. A little bit more pressure. Yeah, and you pretty much just run it like this, but it makes a nice lip so that you get a good seal on your water lines, or you can use this for intercooler piping or anything like that. Kind of give it some passes. And you can adjust how big you want that bump to be based on the depth you go. That should be pretty good there. I'll show you guys. There we go, a tiny bit more. Everything's running away on me. Should probably tighten down the vise, but it's really not that big of a deal. Alright, there we go. So now, loosen off the tension. Check that thing out. That is so freaking cool. So now I just double check, I'll make sure my edge isn't sharp, and then I can go ahead and install this. All right, so I'm gonna put some nicer clamps on there, but ended up getting that in there, and then now I gotta cut this one back, cut that one back, and then wherever that other thing went that I showed you guys, this piece, I'm gonna cut this probably here, roll the edge, same distance on there. That way I can get this sensor pipe in there. Kind of ugly, but I'll clean it up. And I just want to make it as short as possible. Hide it on the bottom so we don't have to look at it. Make this all nice. There we go. All right, looks like we're about even. Bam. So I'm gonna clean this up and then I will slide our hoses on. All right, just a little Scotch Brite pad like this. Check that out. Comes out real nice. So I'll do this side also. You can see that's kind of the process. We'll make her all nice and pretty, and then we'll be good to put this on. Okay, so I just finished cutting off a couple lengths here so that this can fit beautifully right there and go inside there. So I got this from my buddy Bruce, but I was debating whether to like weld a bung or something on the radiator, but it was already here, it was already ready. I just had to shorten it. I could have left it full length. I just think it looks a little bit nicer, just a little more confined. I'm gonna put it on the bottom so you don't have to stare at it either, so should look all right. And yeah, now I gotta slide these onto here. Then our upper hose is done, bottom hose is done. I just gotta kind of connect it there, and yeah, we're well on our way. All right, so super happy with how everything is turning. Quiet down there. How everything is turning out. So that's there. This all comes up nicely, and it actually has quite a bit of stability. So kind of happy with how that's all coming out. So that's all mocked up, ready to go. And then the reason why I've got this big thing out here is those were the original stands that were on it, and these are going to come off. So I'm going to unmount those old stands from our front chassis mounted splitter, and we're going to be using these holes. So what I put was riv certs, nut certs on the bottom here. I drilled all the way through just so that I can easily mark where the bolt's gonna go. It should be plenty sufficient. This whole thing is held in with a riv cert there and back there. So having 4 into this is really not gonna be, it's actually gonna be stronger than the whole freaking thing is to the chassis. This is the way that this was originally designed anyways. So I think we'll be plenty good there. Anyways, these have to come off. I'm gonna throw the bumper on and then try to position this the same position that it was originally. That's kind of the goal here. Mark it, drill it through, and then we can fasten this on here. I still gotta plumb my additional oil cooler over here, but we can get to that next after we get this thing on here. The reason why I wanna put this on as well is because this right here, these corners, it goes all the way to back here. So I haven't fully decided how I want to run my oil lines yet. I'm kind of just mocking things up. I think I'm going to run the oil lines through the back. That way it leaves all this open so that we can have all this for ducting as big of a mouth as possible. Because if I start running the lines here, then that's going to complicate things up front. So that's why I'm thinking the one line to each is going to come from the back anyways. You can see right there, the 2 looped over. So one's going to come to the back. The other one's gonna go to there, and then I think I might just follow the loop that has to go from one cooler to the other around the back. But still thinking about it. That's why I'm kind of just leaving it and moving to the next project on this, is just to give myself a little bit more time to think about that as I get other stuff underway. All right, guys, it's a couple days later. It's actually Monday, and I'm working on the Corvette again. So I'm trying to remember where I left off with this because it was a couple days ago. But hoses are pretty much mocked up. I went to put the front splitter on, and it is not going to work the way the current configuration is. So you'll see here that my frame support here, it's kind of hanging off where I want to put my bolts, and then it's got this huge cutout right here on both sides. So you'll also notice the same deal here. If I line it up, it's still just overhanging here, so I can't get my bolts in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new one. Believe it or not, I paid over $1,000 for this, and it's made out of wood. So I ended up wrapping the top of it because originally it was like this horrendous looking like red, like mahogany type color. But I'm gonna make some altercations because I'm gonna make a new one right now. So see how this goes in awkwardly right here? I'm gonna make it so it goes straight here. So whatever the distance is on this, my bumper's not fully in place, but either way it looks a little bit funky right there. So I'm gonna come across straight, and then I'll go in to try to follow this little curve after we go around this. So I'm gonna kind of put my bumper up here, measure roughly what the distance is from the edge to there when that's all butted up. And then that way this looks a little bit better here. Just make a small adjustment there. The rest of it, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I might try to do a straight shot from here to there, because this little, I don't know, wonkiness, how it like makes 2 corners there. So I might try to draw a straight line through there on both sides. We'll see how I kind of make do there. But either way, I got one of these, and I'm gonna make it exactly the same. I'm gonna wrap it again. So I've got a huge sheet here of 1/2" birch plywood, and yeah, I'm gonna grab that, I'm gonna trace it out here, make those small adjustments, and then I'm gonna cut it with a jigsaw. Then I'm going to paint it, seal it up with black paint. Once that cures, then I can wrap it. So this is what I'm painting it with, but we'll get to that in just a minute. All right, so I've got this laid out here on our plywood, and I made the adjustments that I was telling you. I wanted it 1/2 inch longer on both sides, and then I wanted it to come out to 5 inches before it started carving in. So made those 2 adjustments. And then I don't know if this is like common carpentry, but I was trying to figure this out, and it worked out really well. I was trying to get a straight line this way, but without hanging it off here. So I used 2 squares. So I used one here, and then I was able to put this wherever I wanted to just by squaring this square off of that one. So I used this straight edge to make that as well. And I could move it around, get my straight lines all over the place. So now I'm ready to cut it out. I'm not gonna do these here. I can always add these later. These are for the like those NACA ducts where they kind of come up. But right now I've got my oil coolers here, so I kind of want to box this in to force the air to go through the cooler and then out over the top. So I'm actually gonna close that off for the time being. And yeah, everything else traced out all the way across the front. So now I'm gonna get out the jigsaw, and I'm gonna start on the back because this is my first time really doing much jigsaw, if any, work. And yeah, I'll get my cuts clean on the back, and then we'll come across and recreate this whole thing. All right, so far going really well, you guys. So a little jigsaw blade or little hobo freight one is working really well. So it's coming out nice clean cuts. You can see there, look at that. It's working out really, really nice just with the $40 jigsaw and $3.99 blades for $5. So I'm gonna go ahead, I think I'm confident enough to do the front section here. So gotta go all the way around there, and then we should have a splitter. All right, so here's the carnage, and it's kind of nice actually. It's a really big thing to keep, but if I really wanted to, now I have a perfect template. If I ever needed to make another one of these, I literally have the whole thing right here. So if that ever one gets damaged, and it's not uncommon to make these out of wood, you guys. A lot of racers do it. So it's cheaper if you bump into something. If it breaks, it's just way cheaper to recreate. But I'm really happy with the results of how it came out. So now, like I said, with bumping this out the extra 1/2 inch, now you can see it lines up with the bumper properly. And then coming across here before tucking in, you can see it makes a nice straight line, and then it follows the inner fender right there and then cuts straight across. Now we've got good support here so that we can mount it properly. It goes all the way back to our cross member or our front cradle. It looks really good. So same deal on this side, lines beautifully up with this. And then this makes its junction and curve back in the same way that that does. So much, much better in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do now is take it off. It's just kind of sitting here on a bucket. But just clean up my edges. I'm gonna run just a palm sander on all this, get it cleaned up, and then I can paint it and let this thing dry. And there she is, you guys. So I just took my DA, put some 80 grit on it, just smoothed out all the edges. Hey, we got a front splitter. So I was debating whether to paint it first or, you know, get to all that stuff. But I think what I'm gonna do is I still gotta drill my holes to mount this thing. So might as well do that first, get that out of the way. That way when I paint it, I don't have to fuss with it. And, you know, because if I paint it right now, then I probably can't do any more work tomorrow. So whereas if I drill the holes right now, then I can paint it and let it dry overnight and all that jazz. So let me get this thing situated, and I can start drilling my holes to mount this sucker. All right, so just finished getting this thing all lined up. I just sat it on one of my wheels actually. So got my wheel under there, got rocket racing wheels, set it down on that, and then put it down. Double, triple checked all my measurements so that I'm happy with how everything lines up. I kind of just got the bumper in place with a couple of bolts just so that it's exactly where it's gonna land. This all lines up beautifully now. And then what I'm gonna do is I just finished marking all of that. So now we can go and I can lift it back up, drill the holes, and we should be able to mount this. So that's the plan. Let's get it done. All right, check it out. Pretty happy with how it turned out. So we got the bolts here. I think I'm actually gonna put, I don't know, maybe 3, like 1, 2, 3 here in the middle, just to give this part a little bit more support, and then I'll probably end up putting off of the frame here that I built, maybe like a support rod to this corner on each side. I think it'll look pretty aggressive, and then it'll stiffen this up just a bit more as well. But overall, really happy with how she is turning out, you guys. So like I said, I'll probably put one more there. I might bring it down, drill that now, just get it out of the way. That way I can move on to painting and getting this thing prepped. All right, I'm done with all this. I ended up having to wear this little freaking thing over my mouth because it was too much sawdust. I ended up using this right angle drill, drilled straight through. So I'm gonna put 3 more riv nuts in there, and then that will be all secured. I might come off the corner here straight down. I haven't decided what I want to do there. Yeah, this thing is starting to look mean. I know it's wood, but trust me, once this thing's all painted up and vinyled up like that one, it's gonna look insane. So anyways, let me pop this off, put the riv certs in there, and then I can get to painting this. All right, so got those 3 bolts. Actually, I didn't even tighten that one. Still freaking solid. So let's snug this one up. I just finished standing on it. Check this out, you guys. That is crazy strong. So definitely got a really good chassis mounted splitter. So I'm gonna go ahead, take it off, clean this up, get it ready for paint. All right, guys, so it's the next day. It is painted. You'll notice I have 2. So I did end up painting this one also. So this one, spare backup, I might sell it, I don't know. But here is the one I'm gonna be putting on. So she's all painted up, just sitting here, kind of drying and whatnot, painted both sides. I am gonna wrap it, but I might let it cure for a while before I end up doing that. So those are done. And then I just finished getting back from O'Reilly's, because I had to pick up these and they had them in stock. Hopefully my boy Tony from AutoZone doesn't see this and get mad. I ended up grabbing these guys. So these are really nice hose clamps that I like using when I can. I'm gonna put them here on all my junctions. I'll probably use traditional hose clamps on the ends, but in the middle on all these different sections, I'm gonna put these on. So you put them on, you heat them up, and they are a hose clamp, but it shrinks. They shrink down and kind of clamp over top of things. So I'm gonna get these all clocked and whatnot. So I'm gonna put the hoses back on, get them all clocked exactly where I want, and then put these guys on, heat them up, and get all these hose clamps in place, and it should look really clean, and I'll show you guys in a second. All right, so this is how you pretty much do it. You heat them up. So I kind of just get them in place. Just use a simple heat gun and heat it up all the way around. And as you heat it, it clamps down. Pretty cool and very clean looking clamp. Okay, so I've got those ones on there. Those are looking snazzy, if I may say so myself. And then we got 4 here. I probably could get away with 1 there, but I'm gonna just go overkill because I don't want this breaking off. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this on here, and then we'll get these secured. Okay, everything's in place. So watch, all you do is heat them up. It's kind of fun. And they shrink. Just like that. So the other cool thing is the hotter they get with the engine and everything, the tighter they go. So see how it kind of cinched down? Same thing over here. You just go around and heat them up. Pretty satisfying, honestly. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get 2 hands on these because I want to make sure that they're nice and clocked and heat them up. All right, so I want to get a little video out for you guys, but I'm kind of at a standstill because I'm waiting for some parts. So a few things. I'm redoing the oil lines because now we have 2 oil coolers instead of 1. And these lines originally were made to reach over here. So I got to shorten them. And when I cut them here, there is steel fibers inside these lines. So I'll have to flush them out. And in order to take them off, if you look up in here, there's not much, if any, room to get in here. So that's where the one is, and then the other one's up there. So I got to take them off of here in order to flush them. So in order to do that, I got to take my long tube header out of here. And so while I do that, I actually have been meaning to take off that oil cooler adapter block. So that's an adapter block that you can see there, that billet aluminum deal there. And I've always wanted to take it off because I wanted to get a better one on there. There's ones that you can get that have a oil port right there. So, and then both lines will come off the top. So one will come out, I don't know if you guys can see that. One will come out there, the other one will come out over there. And then I'll have a spot for a sensor. And the reason why I want the sensor is so that I can use this. So I've got one of these AEM gauges here, and this will be for a oil temp sensor, because the factory one with that block is not even active. And the other stupid thing on the Corvette is if you put the car in competition mode, it's like a traction and ABS and stability control setting. You can't read any of your gauges when it's in competition mode. All it says is just competition mode. It's really stupid because the only place that you can read the oil temperature on these cars is in the little LCD screen. So I want a separate gauge that has my oil temp in it. And yeah, I was debating like putting it on the line, but it'll just be a lot cleaner to put it on the block there. So I got to cut these, reconfigure that. And in order to do that, I had to order a block that goes there so I can get my sensor in it. So that's on the way. What else? Yeah, just some fittings, some odds and ends. I ordered the air filter. So there's a K&N air filter that fits perfectly here. It's like a long skinny deal. I'm still waiting for the shroud to come back from the metal fab place. They're taking way too long. It's coming up on 3 weeks that they've had this stuff for. It's just absolutely insane just to make a little freaking bird cage. But yeah, and then we'll get these lines. This is kind of how I'm choosing to go through here. So this one I'm going to come off a 90 through there, and then this one I'm going to go straight because I don't want to get into my wheel well. If I put a 90 here, then this is going to end up coming through here. So this one I'm going to run them both through here, follow them across the bottom of the radiator. Again, we're going to have the splitter here, so this will all be nice and protected. We've got our sway bar here, so we can't really do anything there. This thing's going to be articulating all the time. So we'll have one line that's looping from that cooler over to this cooler, and then ultimately going back. So we'll just get all that stuff dialed in. And yeah, splitters are over there. And then one other thing that I don't know if I'll get to it before we go to the racetrack, but a couple things. Some ducting for this, so we can build some aluminum ducting so that the front section here, the bumper, when this goes in here, that the air will get forced in and over our cooler. And then the other thing I did was I ordered these track spec deals that go over here, and it blocks off all this so that we don't have unwanted air getting in here and kind of creating a bunch of lift inside here and just air getting stuck in here. So these are all gonna be blocked off. I'll probably put a cool little LED strip here for our turn signals because that's really all that I needed those for. And what else? That's about it. I got some other things. There's some other stuff. Oh, the last thing is there is optional fans that you can get for these too. So that's what my buddy Bruce has on his. So he's got two little small fans that sit on top of here, and it pulls the air through. So that would be my next thing. So I don't know whether we'll get the fans on there yet because we're kind of taking on a lot, and I still have to get this thing tuned after we do all this because everything's going to be slightly different. So it's a crunch, but I just want to keep you guys updated on this. I know most people watching these are usually Mopar guys, but I think this looks pretty cool. I also have another video coming out for you guys where we installed these bare rear brakes. So now I've got huge rotors and calipers on the rear and on the front. So should be a lot better braking, but let me know if you guys like this stuff. Give it a thumbs up, share it with other people. That's the biggest thing. That's the way that you guys can support this whole thing, is share it with other people and places that you guys think they would like this type of detailed content. So thanks for watching, you guys. Smash the thumbs up before you take off from me. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. See you guys in the next video.